episode of You Can't Make This Shit Up. Kellen Clark joins me in place of David Washington as your co-host. I'm Joel Hoxley. This is a Jay in Washington production. And I think you just got to get it. We don't like to talk a lot about Washington, D.C. on our shows, but this is one of those things we got to talk about. So tell me what's going on in Washington there.
So there had been a few votes in history, not very many, I think only 3 before, where the House of Representatives can vote to remove the Speaker. The last one was in 1910, and it wasn't quite successful, but this time was the first time in history that the Speaker of the House has been removed from the vote. Kevin McCarthy gets that dubious honor of being the first. So the Republicans at the moment do not have a leader in the House, and there is no Speaker of the House.
That's not true.
They have McHenry.
Yeah, we do have leadership in the House,
Yes.
and our leadership is doing some house cleaning right now. He threw Pelosi out of the Capitol office that she shouldn't be in.
Conservatives love that.
Yeah, so we're getting some real attention on what we're doing. Listen, this is you don't do it justice. Yeah, you don't do it justice because this is what this is the impact. Republicans eat their own. Matt Gaetz goes on a wild goose chase, getting 8 members of his own party and the Democrats to oust the Speaker of the House of Representatives with a vote to vacate.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice,
we absolutely hate our Speaker. Oh no, like look,
chaos is Kevin McCarthy. Okay, but all of the main one of the main takeaways we can get from this
is Matt Gaetz is an ass.
If you want to take that, you certainly can.
Well, I just want to make sure that listen. I have a picture of myself standing next to him, and I've taken the Florida flag that was on the side of him and like put it on the other side of me. So there's a picture of me standing between 2 flags now. No, listen, I like Matt Gaetz as a person. But he's insane. This is all because he wants to run for governor. Look, I said that right here on this. You can't make this shit up. This is a stunt to get the Donald Trump voters in the state of Florida interested in him as the next governor. That's all I can see because this is a stupid move. We have business that needs to get done. We'll have 2 more days where business can't get accomplished. He wants to talk about, well, I tell those people that in the legislature that we only got 2 post offices approved. Yeah, renaming post offices is one of the jobs. It's legislation, but it's not. It just frustrates me because we have so much business, and the Republican Party needs to be leading the way. We don't own the Senate. We don't control the Senate. That means the House of Representatives is at a disadvantage. We need to be working from a point of strength, but we have people like Matt Gaetz that come along. They want to vacate the office. They get the vote, and now we have no speaker. We have a speaker pro temp, and he's out there making waves. So McCarthy's a great guy. This is just like what they did to Boehner. And, if you want to read a really good book, Boehner wrote an awesome book about how the Republican Party, turned into some kind of evil empire. This has been a growing problem with, once you have these television shows, like you get 24-hour news media and everything's about, let me get that invitation to speak on C-SPAN, or I mean, not such C-SPAN, but on CNN, or I can be on MSNBC, or I can be on all these talks. Ever since that happened, they come up with the craziest ideas, like shutting down the government.
Yes, and that is what rubs me wrong the most about this. It's the timing of it. They could not have picked much worse timing if they tried, because only a couple days before this happened, the government was on the verge of shutting down, and McCarthy's entire time in office has been characterized by difficulties and compromise. It was hard for him to get elected because the majority was so slim and a couple people didn't want him in. It was hard for him to, broker a deal for the debt ceiling. And then it was hard for him to broker a deal to fund the government. But he signed an emergency 40, not emergency, but a 45-day funding bill. So the government is going to say for 45 days to basically buy him more time to get a more permanent solution. He gets this. They managed to get this through. And as soon as this happens, boom, we're going to get him out of there. So now Republicans don't just have to get a deal together and a package that both sides can agree with. They don't just have to, do all that to make sure the government stays funded. They also need to get a leader within a couple weeks because, remember how many times it took to get McCarthy in? It took like what? Like how many votes did it take? Like 15? It took
I think I take
monstrous amount.
I agree with you, but I take a different approach. I think McCarthy is a superhero speaker because of the deals he had to broker, the fact that he invested his time, he made promises. They're saying he didn't keep promises. He kept the government open. He made a negotiation to keep the government open. And guess what? The House of Representatives voted on it. The same house that took him out voted for that resolution. So it's not like he went unilaterally over and said, hey, we're going to keep the government open. There were enough Republicans that knew that they needed to have a government open or else we lose votes in the next election. Look, the stupidity on both sides. Like the Democrats should have never done this, because now what are you going to get next? You're not getting your speaker. You're not getting you're not getting the majority. So you're never going to get your speaker.
Yeah, no, like
why would you have gone along with this? I would have just said, as Democrats, I would have said, no, you keep McCarthy, because what do you got? It makes us look bad. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make us look bad. It makes us look like we're cleaning house. But no, McCarthy, as much as I don't always agree with him, he's a superhero speaker in the fact that he has gone through hell, and hey, I agree with him. Why run for speaker? I'm not running for speaker.
No, they're just going to drag him through the dirt again. And if they vote him back in, they're going to try to hold him to a bunch of other promises. They're going to try to hold him like they did last time to do things for those 8 Republicans. Because if you remember, there are only 8 Republicans voted to oust McCarthy. The other ones were the Dems.
That's all it took, right? Because he needed 8. They call them the Super 8, whatever they're calling them. I don't know what they're calling them. But
chaos.
It's, to me, it just gets under my skin, because Congress is not getting the people's work done. And that's really where, Congress loses its power. Now Republicans have the opportunity. You heard this, right? The opportunity to talk about the fact that the speaker doesn't have to be a congressman. And now they want Donald Trump to be the Speaker of the House.
It's
insane.
It is. And it's what I would call just showboating politics. The Dems wanted McCarthy out. So then, liberal media, as well as everybody else who voted for him, could go on and say, what a mess the Republican Party is. The 8 Republicans that voted him off got so much media attention. I think that's what Gaetz wanted. I think that's what a lot of the people wanted. One of them was I think it was from Kansas, she was using it as a fundraising opportunity to promote a fundraiser. They're putting themselves on a timer in which they're going to struggle to get a leader. And because they did last time, there's no clear leader because they have such a slim majority and they're so fragmented. And then on top of that, if they want to fund the government, they're going to have to compromise with the Senate. There's no option with this.
Congressman Scalise, please, if you hear me right now, step up. You took a bullet for the party, for Christ's sakes. Step up and take another bullet for the damn party. Be the Speaker of the House. You can be the Speaker. I mean, that's literally, I can say that he took a bullet for the.
Very literally.
Man, listen, I met Scalise. He's a great guy. I would not wish this on him. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't wish this job on anybody right now, because the Republican Party is got a fracture, and that fracture needs to be fixed. And the fracture is these individuals that want to self-promote, they want to grandstand themselves for their later on exploits. But I'm sorry, for me, this is not the Republican way. These are people that we could get into the fact. Do you know that? I mean, I don't know how much you know about local politics and the fact that do you know that his father was a great state representative in our government in Tallahassee.
I do not.
So he is now back running for the Senate at 74 years old. So daddy is now going to run for get in there. So is he going to get in there so he can help his son when he runs for? I don't know. Listen, this family affair stuff. We David and I are going to do a special segment on it, and there are good families and there are bad families, but I don't know what happened in the raising of Matthew Gaetz or
I think I think it's just a cry for attention, Joel. He's felt starved. He just needs our attention.
you do know he has like the worst. He has the worst office to get to. Hey, but we're talking about this. We should be talking about the vote for not shutting down the government being interfered by a Democrat pulling a fire alarm, which we now have Green running around telling everybody that he should be prosecuted under the same thing that the January 6th people were prosecuted for, because he did exactly the same thing.
Yeah, remember in January 6th where a prankster pulled the fire alarm and the nation panicked? That's what happened, right?
I'm telling you, it's she's going with the fact that it delayed the vote. That means it delayed this is what they're being charged with, right? So she's saying he should be charged with the same thing because he tried to delay a proceeding of the House of Representatives.
I think they're on very different levels, though. One person pulling the fire alarm and a mob that storms to the Capitol and starts stealing crap. I think that's a very different level.
But the crime that they were charged with has the same wording as what
similar, yeah.
No, same wording.
Same wording.
And he intentionally tried to stop the vote.
Yeah.
Now tell me that you pulled that alarm because a school principal becomes congressman and doesn't know the difference between a fire alarm and opening the freaking doors. Bullshit.
Well, it's because Congress is on fire right now. It's all a mess. No wonder you had to pull it.
That's right. He knew this fire. He knew this fire was coming. He said, Matt Gaetz is going to take the speaker out if we do this vote. No,
not really.
Congress is a mess. Corey, please put them back in order. Thank you for voting against thanks for voting against the keeping the government open and voting to keep Kevin McCarthy, because that means you were fiscally responsible and then you were an actual congressman that stood up for our party.
Petty politics will always exist and it will always be prevalent. But when you let personal differences, when you let personal rivalries, when you let media attention take precedence over the basic functioning of government, keeping the government open at all, if your campaign is more important, then you just got to get the hell out.
See, I don't think people realize shutting the government down doesn't shut the government down.
No, they just don't pay them.
No, Social Security gets paid and the military gets paid. The people that really deserve to get paid, even the people that don't, like Congress, get paid. So when the government gets shut down, the only people that suffer are the people the Democrats don't like in the first place. It's the people with contracts. It's the contractors. It's the unions that are suffering out there, because the unions that support the government with all these civilian jobs, these millions of civilian jobs that outnumber the amount of people that we have serving our country. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the people that on the government dole that you can't fire in the first place. So my final word, Cut the government down today. No. Thank you very much for joining us here on You Can't Make This Shit Up, because you can't. We got no speaker. We got a speaker pro temp.
Where's the government? I don't see it. You can't make this shit up. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or we will oust you.